Hello, guys. That was so cheesy, but we're gonna roll with it. Hello, welcome to a very new podcast, very first episode of our new podcast. This is called, if anybody is confused by the art made on our page, we are the Toon Tahn podcast. And before we get into the name, set up who my co-host is. So my name is Rachael Kriger, and I am from the outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And my co-host is originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. She made a terrible decision. No, I'm kidding. She moved to Florida. I followed shortly after. From Pittsburgh, and she's like literally from Pittsburgh. Like she actually lived like within city limits. But so this is my friend, my best friend Kelley Milavec. Kelley, say hello to the fine people.
Hello, how is everyone?
Well, welcome everyone to the Toon Tahn podcast. I'm going to explain real quick who we are, and then Kelley's going to give herself a little what's up, here I am. But so we are two friends. We went to college together. Shout out to California University of Pennsylvania. We do not
That doesn't
the
exist
new name
anymore.
Of our school. Yeah, our school doesn't exist anymore. It is called Pennsylvania West California campus. But Kelley and I refuse to acknowledge or even accept the new name. But we went to Cal U from what, Kelley, you were there before me, so you were there from 2014 to 2018. I was there from
Yes.
2015 to 2018, and we met through a mutual friend, and we just like hit it off. We became best friends super quick, and it didn't take long at all. Eventually we became college roommates, and one thing that always brought Kelley and I super close together was our love for cartoons. There were multiple times where we would go to the Walmart about like 10 minutes away from campus. And one time in particular, and we'll be talking about a lot of different shows on this podcast, we were shopping and we saw a Danny Phantom complete set DVD. And we just had to buy it. So we bought it, and I'm pretty sure we stayed up all night watching the episodes. We binge watched Avatar: The Last Airbender with our other roommates. Our last week of college, like we have always just been just big fans of like cartoon shows, whether they're adult cartoons because we love Family Guy. We watch Bob's Burgers, Futurama, to like SpongeBob, Miraculous Ladybug, which is Kelley's favorite show, and the Total Drama series, which is what the series that we're going to be kicking this podcast off with. But I've talked too much, so Kelley, just tell the fine people who you are, what kind of shows you love, and basically why the heck we're doing this.
Well, first off, this was your idea, so that's why we're doing this. So,
yes.
I just want to make that perfectly clear. I'm kidding, I love you. So I'm Kelley, as Rachael said. I am originally from Pittsburgh. I was like maybe 15 minutes away from the city. I was in the heart of the city, basically. I moved down to Florida right after we graduated college. To do the Disney College program for almost a year, and I just never wanted to leave, and I've been down here for a little over 5 years now. I'm doing something completely different. I'm not with Disney anymore, but still do have an annual pass, so I can go whenever I feel like it. But yeah, I've always had a love for cartoons, regardless of like when they came out or like what show or what channel they were on. Nick, Cartoon Network, Disney, I was watching them all the time. But I think my favorite genre of cartoons was probably like superhero cartoons, which is why Miraculous has been like my favorite for a while. It's my problematic fave. It has its issues, but I've been in this fandom for 8 years, and I refuse to let it beat me. I will be there till the end. But like growing up, I loved Danny Phantom, Static Shock, American Dragon, Drake Long. Like I loved superhero shows, Teen Titans. So that's probably my favorite genre. I do remember watching Total Drama Island when I was younger. I don't remember it vividly from my childhood, but I did rewatch it just to get my affairs in order. So that's definitely my life when it comes to cartoons.
So Kelley and I have a shared notes app for like two different things. One is for Animal Crossing, which I'm pretty sure hasn't been updated in like 3 years.
Yeah.
And then the other is for our podcast. So to give like our listeners the gravity of what shows we like, I just real quick I'm gonna read through the shows that we've already planned to talk about. And I'm telling you, it goes from like Family Guy to like Phineas and Ferb, literally. So we've got Danny Phantom, Disenchantment, that's my favorite show. SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, Gravity Falls, Shaolin Showdown, let's go. Teen Titans, the original series, of course, all of the Total Drama series, including the new reboot. Address that later. My Life as a Teenage Robot, American Dragon, Jake Long, Futurama, Family Guy, Phineas and Ferb, Static Shock, and of course Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra. So that's just like a wide variety of what we do. And so it's funny because, you know, we talk about shows all the time, and Kelley and I basically just send memes to each other constantly. And like a couple weeks ago, I have to tell them the story before I get into like my history with cartoons. But Kelley and I were arguing over a ship, right? So we were talking about a certain ship in Total Drama. And like, listen, this episode is focusing on Total Drama Island, but I have to just get this out of the way first because it's way too funny not to. So we were arguing playfully, of course, about a certain ship, and she is a huge Total Drama Revenge of the Island, Total Total Drama All Stars fan. We will not hold that against her. Total Drama.
Yeah, fandom. Are you trying to just burn me at the stake the first episode? She said, and I'm going to read her post verbatim. My friend, me, and I are having a debate after rewatching some of Total Drama recently. Please help us settle this. There are only two options. You got to pick one. And the debate was, who is the best Total Drama couple? I, of course, because, you know, Dub City over here, picked Alejandro and Heather because I love enemies to lovers and I just love them. The basic ship, I see.
And then we have Zoe, which is Zoe and Mike. Another one by a landslide. I'm gonna have all of you just go to her Tumblr and see how much, because I want to relish in this dub. But I just had to share that. Like we get each other into like different shows, and you know, Kelley's got me into Miraculous and Static Shock. I really love those shows. Even though I haven't watched Miraculous like in order, I really do have an appreciation.
She's gonna hear about it whether she likes it or not.
I have a big appreciation for it, for sure. And at some point too, we're going to talk about movies, whether it be the Bob's Burgers movie, the Spider-Verse movies. Should have seen my face after the recent Spider-Verse. Kelley and I watched it, and it was just, the ending is just but real quick into my cartoon history, and then of course a quick explanation of the podcast name. So I grew up with an older brother, so I pretty much watched whatever he watched, and so my brother was into the superhero shows, right? And so I got into those shows, but of course, like I started to get into my own shows, which like as a little teeny tiny tot, I was into like the Barbies and like Barney, and I loved Bear in the Big Blue House, and like Dragon Tales was my jam. I got the Dragon Tales theme song in my head a couple days ago, and it just has not gone away. But then I started to get into like the more mature shows, like Futurama, Total Drama, stuff like that. And yes, Total Drama is definitely mature in some instances. But yeah, I just have like such a wide range of cartoon loves. I am a huge Futurama fan. And I just like, there's so much to it. And yes, I am still on the Family Guy hype wagon. I love Family Guy. I actually wrote a college paper about Family Guy one time, but I'll save that for a later episode. But to explain our podcast name, so like we said, we're both from Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh has its own like language, and we call it Pittsburghese. We don't have ridiculous accents like Boston or Chicago or Philly. No offense if you're from there, but like, come on, you know your accent's ridiculous. But we have what's called Pittsburghese, and Pittsburghese it's a lot of things. Like, so I opened up the show with "Hey Yins guys," and Yins is basically like our version of y'all. And so Toon Tahn came because in Pittsburgh we have a different word for downtown. We say downtown. Like, we just say everything super fast. If you ever want to stump somebody, all you have to do is say the sentence, "Yin's going downtown and that means, are you guys going downtown and hanging out? It doesn't have as many words, but that's what it is. So when we were talking about like doing this podcast, we were trying to come up with a name, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is it. And so I told Kelley, and she loved it. And then we got to, creating our logo, and I want to give a shout out. We're going to shout out again at the end of the episode, but Kelley found an artist on Tumblr. The username is Beautopia. It is Beautopia. On Tumblr, they made our original character designs, us in total drama form. So we thought that was appropriate, given we're going to be talking a lot about total drama. That was a lot. Okay, so without further ado, Total Drama Island was the first season of the Total Drama series. I am doing a quick fact check, but it was
2007.
It was released in 2007. And it was basically like, if you live under a rock and you don't know, it was basically like a spin-off of Survivor in cartoon form. It's made by Teletoon in Canada. Pretty much every voice actor is Canadian. They have just such an incredible cast. So kudos to them. There's like so many people who do like more than one voice too, and then have voiced in other different seasons. But Total Drama was released in 2007 in the summer on Cartoon Network in the US, and it was released in the summer in Canada a year prior. Well, it was released in Canada in 2007, in the US a year later in 2008. So Kelley and I both rank Total Drama Island pretty high in terms of like our overall season rankings. And just kind of like looking at some of the episodes, like going into the first couple episodes, when you saw the arrival of the campers, what did you think? Like, they had a whole episode basically dedicated to introducing the campers. Like, I loved it. What did you think?
Oh no, it was definitely a good introduction, especially since they had 22 characters for a starting season. Like, I watched Survivor like with my family when I was younger, like religiously. I think 20 was the max on Survivor. So they went above and beyond for Total Drama. But I do like that they gave each character like a little snippet of like what you're going to get with them. Even the characters that got kicked off super early.
Yeah, like I'll never forget Noah's, "You got my memo about my life-threatening allergies?" And then he goes, "Is this where we're staying?" And Duncan goes, "No, it's your mother's house and we're throwing a party." And he cracks his knuckles. And just that whole interaction, like, oh my gosh, so good. But like Tyler, like you knew what he was about with him, like doing his stunt, and then he crashes into like the luggage. No, I totally hear you. Continue. And
then Izzy's introduction is her just smacking her head off the dock.
And Owen's just like, yeah, like super loud and obnoxious. And Gwen's just like, I think it was Jeff. She goes, "If he says man one more time, I'm gonna puke." Oh, I loved it. Um, few contestants that were kind of like cannon fodder, shame fodder, I guess we should say.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
Ezekiel, the homeschooled kid, Eva, the athlete with the rage problem, Noah, the brainiac, and then Justin, who was like the gorgeous guy. I hated like Justin spoke twice.
I
And
think
that
his
was it.
first confessional was in the in-between show after Owen won the money and then going into action. I think his only confessional was in the in-between episode.
Stupid. And then like didn't do his first and only confessional, the redonkulous race, taking the redonkulous race off until World Tour, which was in season 3. Like that, just stuff like that is just like crazy. But oh yeah, those first like 5 episodes just it definitely set the tone for everybody. I mean, the highlight, of course, was like Heather reading Gwen's diary for me. What was like what was like your highlight?
That one was good. I do like the team up between Owen and Gwen at the very end, getting Heather to do all the disgusting challenges.
That
Just
one's
as
so
payback.
good. Talk about some of the most popular episodes in total
Mhm.
drama history. One of them I've noticed is the phobia factor.
Mhm.
I love that episode. Courtney, the green jelly was hilarious.
It was so funny. Tyler being afraid of chickens is so funny. And then getting kicked off with a boat of chickens just to torment him.
Oh, and then Celine Dion cardboard cutouts. Squeeze me. I think I said squeeze me in like seventh and sixth grade for like months because of that show. Oh, what else?
That's valid.
Paintball deer hunt.
Yeah,
That is definitely, I mean, just like
iconic.
iconic to say the least.
I will say Beth, I'm not super fond of, but her standing up to Heather was definitely iconic. Because you didn't want Heather to succeed. You did, but you didn't.
I think we need to address the line. Did anybody
The N word.
like did nobody as Canadian
I have a few questions for Canada.
have they never heard of like racism before? Because
Right.
I granted, when I was in like sixth grade and watching this show for the first time, I did not think about it.
Mm-hmm.
But rewatching it, like even in high school, I was like, what?
That's so out of pocket.
Yeah. I was like, what is happening here?
And then you had an
Yeah.
episode with Heather's top getting ripped off.
Yeah, there was I in that same episode, we got to talk about the censorship real quick. Like the
Yeah.
censorship was just in the very first episode. Like, listen, I'm Roman Catholic. I don't understand. They can't say Catholic on TV. Like, I don't understand. And like, I've given a lot of shows a lot of crap for like dubbing over different like languages. Like Miraculous has done it, Winx Club has done it, that show Witch has done it. Like it's just sometimes it looks sloppy when it's like in an original language and then it's dubbed over in English or whatever language.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. Like it's something you can't really change. But like when they made that change and they said, because Lindsay's off screen when she says, communion, but I'm not Catholic. And then it goes to Chris and he goes,
Yeah.
wow, that's a shocker. That doesn't match up whatsoever with the
No.
not communion, communal. Like,
No.
oh my God, it's so bad.
Even for 2D characters talking, that it didn't even come close.
Oh, it was so bad. They censored a lot in that first season. Heather calls Duncan a skis and they censored it to goof. And then the
They
just
did not like Shut Up. They did
yeah,
not
that's
like it in
so
America.
it was so unnecessary. Like, shut it is like, how is that different? Kelley, tell me
It's
shut
ridiculous.
it.
Shut it.
Yeah, it was like so
And here's my question. In the one episode where Heather loses her top, they do say the word boobies in the episode a couple times, but then they censor a couple other times they say it and say chest instead. Like, you already said the word, why does it matter?
well, and like it doesn't make sense when they censored it because I just rewatched that episode the other day and it was whose chest did you
Yeah.
like is there multiple chests?
Right. Like buried treasure chests?
No, that's a later episode.
Right.
Oh man. Yeah, that's so it was so stupid. I never understood that at all. Even when I was a kid, like I really didn't understand. Like, cause even like with the Chris
Mhm.
thing at the beginning, I was like, I can tell that it's like, oh, the challenge, and this is another one that's, and I'm skipping one episode in particular. I'm gonna get back.
Mhm.
I will get back to basics training, people. I promise. But the brunch of disgustingness episode, the very
Oh
first thing
yeah.
that they eat is the beef testicles, and
Mhm.
they say beef bourguignon.
Yeah, he says meatballs. I'm
Yeah,
like, yeah, I guess technically.
and then they and then they get away
That
with
might
the
even be worse.
they get away with the Spanish because at one point Gwen says, "I'm digesting a bull's precious cojones." Like, okay,
Yeah,
but you can say it in Spanish.
because who speaks Spanish?
This was before Alejandro.
Right. That
Oh man,
Duolingo shot up when Alejandro came back.
Alejandro's the new Duolingo mascot. he's he's inside the Duolingo owl. That's great. Brunch of Disgustingness. I know it's gross, but it is really one of my favorite episodes. I like I don't know. I just love all the interactions in that episode so much. Like my favorite, one of my all-time favorite total drama scenes is when Jeff has his like mini freak out and DJ is like, "I got this," and he tackles it. And then the whole situation with Trent, DJ, and Jeff, and Trent's like, "Hold me down, no matter how much I say it's gross. Like, don't listen to me." And he's doing it, and they're like, "Oh, I'm kidding, I'm kidding." But that was, and then like it was so like it was so real when like Bridget transitioned to the girls team in the
Mhm.
girl in the gopher cabin because it's like I mean could you imagine like being the only girl from your team and you have to transition to the gopher cabin.
So yeah, I remember the last challenge was DJ and Bridget refused to eat the hot dog made of dolphin.
And Chef goes, I slaved over a hot stove cooking dolphin. Season one chef was elite.
Yeah, some of that, like there was like a skunk smoothie. That, oh,
Oh, the cockroaches at the end were pretty bad.
mm-mm. Yeah, and
Oh.
Owen looked like he phased out of reality and just kept going.
Oh man, that was such a good one too because I loved all the Lindsay moments whenever she does her meditation and then she goes,
Oh,
"Where am I?"
that's
That was good, so good. Um, backtrack and talk about basic training. We got to talk about basic training. Now, I will go on my Courtney rant later at some point. But we both agreed that season 1 Courtney is just, she's good. She's good. Like, I really, like, when I was younger, I loved season 1 Courtney. Now, like, I like her. She's good. Man, basic training, though, I, like, really fell in love with Courtney's character. Like, she just letting her hair down and, you know, being with Duncan and everything. Oh, their kiss was so good.
And then she gets voted off because Harold screwed it up.
But that was like, I remember being younger and being like, oh my gosh, like that was such a good plot twist. It really was.
It was. And like, I think, I'm going to be candid here, I think her character went downhill from that point.
Yeah, when she spent the whole like Play a Day Losers episode trying to hunt down. And like I think Noah said it perfectly. He was like, you lost, get over it. You're here. Like, who cares?
Yeah. Because then in season 2, we're not going to talk about season 2 this episode, but her trying to get lawyers to get back into the show. Like, oh, it just got too much.
Yeah, it just got like too real.
We're staying with season 1.
That's off the chain. The iconic moment is Lindsay.
Oh yeah,
100.
That censor was probably the worst censor.
Bossy, medium girl.
And like everyone's surprise reactions did not fit that censor.
The best part of that episode was like in Gwen's faces and Lindsay popped on because they're just been like, yeah. Chris is like, oh yeah, for ratings, and Gwen is like, yeah, because she hates Heather.
Yeah. Speaking of that episode, that elimination was garbage.
Right, like I watched that one like yesterday or the day before, and my question I wrote down on my own notes was, how the heck does Lindsay get eliminated? Because technically, too, if you think about it, we never saw Lindsay's bike cross the line either. Because the last time we saw Lindsay's bike in that episode is her like half in that ditch of tar while Heather flies over her. And it's like, how are Duncan and Owen? They didn't finish the race. Like, yeah. I just don't get it.
Well, I get why they couldn't kick off Owen, but like that's not even the point. They should have had LaShawna and Izzy up for contention because they didn't even compete.
Right. Like at one point Chris says like, oh well, they miss out. Like, okay, but like
you're just gonna let them skip an elimination challenge.
Total Drama has some continuity errors for sure, and like some just stuff that doesn't make sense in like every single season. Every season is not perfect. Like there are episodes where things just don't make sense, and that one is probably like the worst one though. There is another thing that I noticed, and like talked about this years ago, how like we've seen different things about Chris McLean's age. And like you saw something where he's what, like 25?
It was a quiz that someone made, and I'm like, there's no way.
But what wasn't it? Was it 25 or like 28?
I think it was 25. I'm like, there's no way he was younger than me.
Yeah, for context, listeners, we are 27, and I'm going to be 27 next month. Like, Kelley's going to be 28 in November. Yeah. Like, there's no way. Like, Chris literally, like, I always assumed that he was like 35, like around 35, 40. especially because like I remember very vividly from like World Tour, they talked about Chris being in a boy band and having multiple projects before Total Drama. Like I get like child stars and everything, but there's like no way.
Mm.
There is this. I want to know if you caught this. When Lindsay gets eliminated, by the way, when she says goodbye to everybody, that's like the most wholesome moment ever. And then she messes up everyone's name.
Yeah. LaQuisha.
LaQuisha. Greta. Oh, what she calls Gwen Greta. But they have that ending shot of like everybody on the dock waving bye to her, like except for Heather, obviously. Chris is in the boat with her.
That's so funny. I didn't catch that.
Doesn't get in the boat with anyone else. He gets in the boat with Lindsay, and like he had some very weird moments. Like his first interaction with Lindsay was weird because he's like not too shabby. Like, dude, you're even if he is 25.
Weird. Yeah. That's still a minor.
A minor. Even in Canada and the United States and most of the countries that the show is put on, she is a minor.
Yes.
And then like episode where they have those trust challenges. Heather rips off Gwen's skirt and you can see her butt, and Duncan says like, well, you don't see that every day, and Chris goes, no you don't, my man. Like,
just don't say anything at that point.
Oh my gosh, it's so weird. There's a Total Drama comic out there on Tumblr. The user, it's called Total Trauma, and it's pretty good for the most part. Like I have my own personal, like being an Ally Heather fan, there's some things that like I don't really care for, but they do like a really good job of like a couple like headcanon background things, and one of them is like there's like a thing where, you know, Izzy's like a child actor, and she says like I've seen a lot of stuff in this business, and I pretty much know that like all TV producers are like pedophiles basically. And there's like the drawing is of like Chris and Lindsay, and it's like yeah, Chris gave off those vibes in season 1.
I think they realized their mistake.
Yeah, because he definitely didn't have those interactions in later seasons. It was just, oh my god, it was so. But like I remember watching it back like a few years ago, and I was like, why is he in the boat with Lindsay? He doesn't get in the boat with anyone else. I am so bothered. Like Chef has driven the boat before. Like I've seen that.
That's so funny.
Like Chef's driven the boat. Like I have seen that before. But like Chris, like actively being like, it's a cartoon. I know we're like, it's weird.
There's a certain level of suspension of disbelief, but
trial by tri-arm triathlon, say that like 8 times fast. That one is pretty well documented and well liked in the Total Drama fandom. That's where of course Jeff and Gwen are teamed up, Heather and Owen are teamed up, Lashana and Duncan are teamed up. And I don't know about you, but like I love every like interaction, that I can't pick a favorite of the 3. Can you?
Yeah. No, I think it was funny that Heather got paired up with Owen. Because they're just polar opposites. You just have the ice queen and just this fun-loving like dork that, like, I don't know. I thought it was really funny when he was admiring Justin's like wooden hand, and Heather just kept giving him suspicious glances because everything he was saying was coming off very like homoerotic.
The very first episode when he's like, I like your pants because, you know, they look all worn out.
I think one of my favorite jokes from the show, I can't remember what episode it was. I think it was when they voted off Justin, and Heather was talking about convincing Owen to vote off Justin, and she was like, Owen, piece of cake, and then it cuts to Owen. And he's like, cake, and he's just eating cake.
I love it. So one of the best Owen moments for me is in this episode. He's in the confessional with Heather and he goes, and at first you only just see Owen and it's like, Heather is the meanest person ever. Like she is just rotten, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, well, no offense. No. And she goes, whoa, none taken. Kind of respect you for it. Never let it happen again. So good. But like the way he defends Izzy is so wholesome. Izzy and Owen are such a like a weird couple, but like
yeah,
it's so wholesome.
I did like the Gwen and Jeff pair up because they started off just like, well, Gwen was more antagonistic, but Jeff was just kind of like not taking it seriously, and it frustrated her. And then she realized, like, oh yeah, Jeff's not a bad dude. And then of course Jeff gets voted off. But I wish they had more like interaction.
That's how I felt
before that.
Yeah, that's how I felt about like Bridget and Gwen because of that episode where they're trying to find the secret admirer. Plot twist, it's Lashana and Harold, and that whole scene is just so good. I'll never get over. Give Daddy some sugar.
Oof.
Love Harold so much. Like I just
and then Lashana's just like, you're the weirdest white boy.
He goes, baby, you some kind of freaky. Oh, so good. But like that's how I felt about like Gwen and Bridget because like that secret admirer episode, like they have a hug and they have like that little rivalry trying to like, oh, it was Trent, no, it was Jeff. But like I just love the combination of Bridget, Lashana, and Gwen, and I wish we got more of that. That would have been so good.
Yeah. Like I get that. I get they had 22 characters to start off with. They could only do so much, but I kind of get why they didn't interact as much. But on the same like train of thought, once you get rid of like so many characters, you have to make them interact at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I think there's some instances we got that, like we saw, like I love the bromance with Jeff and DJ, and I'm glad that like in later seasons they built on that. But like yeah, there's and like of course the friendship with Gwen and Lashana was built on in Total Drama Action. So yeah, there's definitely, but there's so many opportunities that like could have been. You talked about this earlier. I triple dog dare you, the episode where they just it's the final three and they gang up on Heather. The contestants come up with some pretty good
and more than
dares.
half of them are like Owen centric.
Yes. Oh, that's such a good episode. And then of course it ends with Heather getting her hair shaved.
Oh, that's a running theme in Total Drama is people losing their hair.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, like it starts with Heather and it just continues all the way through. I think Dave was the last person.
Who was?
From Dave. I think Dave was the last person.
Oh yeah. I haven't watched that season since like it aired because I just do not like it, but we'll get there.
Yeah, because it's basically
I don't know a single person that likes Takatoon Island.
Yeah, that's definitely a rough one. But I'm pretty sure like I don't think there were any baldness in Redonkulous Race, and I don't remember any in the reboot.
No, not so that I think, recall.
But still, from like, so it was Heather in season 1/season 2 because she is technically bald. Season 3 is Alejandro because he gets his hair melted off from the volcano.
He should be dead, but he just loses his hair.
I know. And his legs like twisted and oh god. Season 4. Lightning's hair turns white, so that doesn't count. But of course, Dakota.
But you forgot Stacy lost her hair in the first episode.
Stacy, yeah, I did forget. Oh, because she touches the marshmallow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
An avid Revenge of the Island watcher, I would know this.
As a Revenge of the Island apologist. And then I think anybody lost their hair in All Stars.
No, I just rewatched that recently. I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. And then Pocketail was Dave.
Mhm.
Dave lost his hair. But yeah, like you said, running theme, like it's just so strange.
That's traumatic. Like, imagine just losing all your hair. Like because a lot of people put so much emotion and style and like thought into their hair, and it's like losing that is just devastating.
Yeah. Like it's a cartoon and everybody's like, oh, that's funny. But it's like, if you think of it in like a real sense, that's scary. Like I couldn't imagine.
No, that's part of your identity.
Yeah.
I cut mine a few years ago, but it's I like it.
But still, like, I mean, you have so much hair compared to someone who just doesn't have hair. Like, oh my God. And all of them are like done in such a traumatic way. Heather's have hers accidentally shaved off. Alejandra speaks for herself, the volcano. Dakota, Dakota and Stacy because of the toxic
Radiation.
waste, because of radiation.
Oh wait, does Z count?
Oh yeah, Ezekiel. Yeah, Ezekiel does count. Ezekiel is just like a whole other. Like I feel like we need a whole podcast episode based on like the downfall of Ezekiel. His first moment in Total Drama Island killed me. I think I see a bird.
That's what homeschools get you.
And then like if you know for the fans who maybe just don't know or they don't remember, each contestant, and this kind of segues into the finale, has an audition tape except for Gwen and except for Owen. And Ezekiel's audition tape is pretty hilarious because he accidentally shoots his mom with a bow and arrow. I remember Duncan's is his so breaking funny. Out of prison.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. I didn't watch all of them, but I do. I am aware.
And like feeling like it was a real reality show when they would show those like messages home from like Owen's parents and Gwen's mom and like Duncan's parents and parole officer. Heather's parents, like I'll never forget Heather's mom and dad carrying her bed out of their house, and then they're like the workers are like, hey, where do you want us to put the bed? And they're like, oh, we miss you, sweetie. But yeah, like everybody had an audition tape except for Gwen, except for Owen, and then those two are your finalists. Whose ending did you prefer?
So I like Gwen over Owen, like as characters. I prefer Gwen over Owen. I just liked her better because she was cool. She seemed like the main character of the show. But in saying that, Owen's ending fit better for me personally.
No, I agree. The brownie ending just made sense.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that
I rewatched both endings and like Gwen's ending didn't make sense. Because Izzy stood in front of the cross or the finish line.
Yeah, and like I mean, who would have thought Izzy would have had the game-winning idea?
Yeah. Exactly. And like it seems so thrown together because like after Gwen wins, she's like, well, maybe there's a little bit over to throw a party. Like that just seems so thrown in there to make sure that it was in line with like their in-between episode. Which it seems so half like I didn't like it.
Like, part of me kind of
But
like,
half-baked is what I was trying to say.
part of me wishes that there wasn't two winners.
Mhm.
But like, I also understand it because like some of the endings just don't make sense. Like Revenge of the Island, both endings make sense. Like in my opinion, I think both endings make sense. There's so much at stake with Lightning and like his dad's Super Bowl rings, and then Cameron is that success story. But like in Total Drama World Tour, as much as I love Alejandro, like his ending just doesn't make sense. Heather's redemption arc,
Mhm.
and Heather is way smarter than picking up her own doll version and throwing it in
Mhm.
a volcano. Like I think Beth and Duncan both have a like I mean, I have my own opinions about Beth being in the final. Like we'll talk
Mhm.
about that some other time. But like both endings make sense. All stars. The only ending
Don't
that
you
makes
dare.
to me the only ending that makes sense is Mike.
Yeah.
With the way that story went, the only ending that made sense was his, and I think for Total Drama Pocateo Island, the only ending that made sense for me was Sean's ending was the only one. um
Mhm.
and I honestly can't remember if they are like did an alternate ending for excuse me for Redonkulous Race, because I remember watching it. I think the cadets won in the one
They
I
did win.
watched.
I did watch a review saying that Jeff's team did win in an alternate ending.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never thought Jeff's team winning made sense. Like I always thought the cadets winning made
Mhm.
the most sense. Um, but yeah, like part of me like I like it in some sense, and then some part of me is just like, no, like that's stupid.
I do want
Um,
to go back to the Lightning and Cameron winning because I sent you a picture a couple weeks ago showing which country aired which finale. And America was the only one that had Lightning win compared to like 8 other countries where Cameron won. And I don't understand.
see, that's funny because I remember watching it and I remember Cameron winning.
I remember Lightning winning, and I was like, really?
Hmm, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I remember being in Chicago when the finale aired, and I made my mom watch it with me instead of like going and hanging out.
Mm,
But
mm.
the
I swear
finale,
I saw Lightning win, but
so weird. I'll have to like jog my memory. I'll have to watch like Lightning's ending or something.
again, to me, Lightning's ending didn't make sense. I felt like Cameron's ending fit more because he shared his money. Like he gave everybody like part of his winnings, which I think is nice.
I can't wait till we talk about Revenge of the
Oh, I'm ready.
Island. Oh, there's so many. Oh, I can't wait to talk so much
Yeah,
soul drama.
we got to get back to Island.
Back to Island, yeah. Back to our regularly scheduled programming.
This is what happens when we have ADHD.
Hyperfixation.
Mhm.
The grand prize. This is the only season that this is $100,000. Very quickly in that kind of bonus episode, they say Chris says like, "Hey, you can trade this in to Owen/Gwen, um, and have a chance for $1 million." I loved Total Drama, 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 Drama Island. That is
Yeah,
one of my all-time favorite episodes. What do you think?
I do. I want to point out a continuity error that someone did point out when I was watching a video on it. The island had a drive-through on it. So, it's not a real island because in Revenge of the Island, it's the same island. So that's my that's my two
There's
cents there.
I remember seeing that and being like, okay, the Playa de Losers made sense. How
Mhm.
it's like on its own island or it's like on a secret part of the island. That makes sense. But then they were like, there's a drive through. And I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever
I don't know
seen.
if that was for a bit or if that was supposed to
I
be
mean, it
taken
had to have been because, like you said, it's the same
seriously.
island. Like, it's the same island. And they even go back to the island again, of course, in All Stars, and they even go back to the island for a challenge
reboot.
or two in well, yes, the reboot, a challenge or two in action. Like, what?
The driver. Unless Chris just flew in a fast food place just for him and Chef to use.
Gosh. I remember in the one episode, it's the one where they are camping in the woods. They're camping in the woods. It was the episode where Katie got voted off.
Oh yeah.
And Sadie and Katie had their first fight. And Heather's like, how are we supposed to find food? Like, everybody's like wondering what the heck they're doing. And then like one of the crew members comes and he goes, I got a large pizza, extra pepperoni, and it's for the camera crew over here. Like, where did that pizza come from?
I know, it's that, and like they had their own. This was I'm jumping the shark here, but in All Stars, Chris had his own like cottage off to the side of the island. Like, where was that in the first season?
Then, like, another continuity error with the drive-through. Okay, well, if like civilization is right there in the episode where they have where they cook the 3-course meal, they're like, a delivery truck brings us food every single morning. What?
And you think it's like Hunger Games. You think they'd hit the edge eventually before the finale or after the finale.
Oh, the force field, yeah, in the Hunger Games.
I always think of that scene where PETA hits this thing in the second movie. She just goes, PETA! It's kind of funny.
No, it would be
if it was electrifying.
It would be Tyler.
Yeah.
100% be Tyler, and nobody can tell me otherwise. Oh my gosh, that's great. Of course. Sorry, I had to yawn.
Like, I was gonna say, one of my favorite episodes is one of the final ones. It's the final 4 episode where they're dropped in the middle of the woods and they gotta find camp. And they just keep stealing each other's stuff.
See, that's funny because I mean, I don't hate that episode, but it's definitely not my favorite. Why is it your favorite?
I just think, like, you got your 4 characters, like, they're probably some, except for Owen, like Heather, Gwen, and Duncan, I all really liked when I watched the show. And we got a whole episode focused on them. And I just think it was really smart of Heather to pretend to cuddle up to Duncan just to cross them and get up early and leave them stranded. I just thought it was a really smart play.
That episode is called Are We There Yeti? And that is, of course, the introduction, or I'm sorry, that is Camp Castaways is before that. I was thinking of the wrong episode title for a minute. The beginning of that episode begins with Chef cutting Mr. Coconut in half.
Yeah. See, the episode before that, I wasn't a fan of.
Yeah. The one where they're dropped in the middle of the woods. Yeah, I definitely like that better than Camp Castaways. I don't know. Like I said before we hit the record button, that for me, all of the episodes, like up to the merger and then the Brunch of Disgustingness, I love those episodes. Mm-hmm. So good. Like I can find hardly any fault in them. And then the like episodes just kind of start to go a little bit downhill. Then it picks up with I Triple Dog Dare You, and then the very last episode, and then the total drama island. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think
after no, I was gonna say after a while the filler episodes just got really annoying. It's just like, please just get to it already.
One of my favorite episodes probably down the stretch is that trial by triathlon one. But
Mhm.
I also have a really soft spot for Hook, Line, and Screamer, even though I hate how DJ got eliminated.
Mhm. I will say this with the show, especially in the first season, they made it painfully obvious who was going home that episode. Like, but it wouldn't be until like the very end, like a character would do something or say something, or there would be a discussion about a certain character, and you're like, oh, they're going home. Like there was no tension, even though they tried to build it up to it.
And even in like a couple points, like the episode where they have to trap the animals and stuff, like Heather even says, like, just give the marshmallow to Gwen. Izzy is going home.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few like that. Okay, so like more of a broad overview. Who, in your opinion, give me your top three characters from Total Drama Island?
Okay, just from Island, because I have opinions on the subsequent seasons. um, just from Island, I know this is a basic answer, but definitely Gwen, because she got a lot of screen time compared to a lot of the other characters. Um, definitely Heather, but I not because I like am a fan of her, but just because she was such a dirty player, you have to appreciate her. But she's an awful person. And then third's probably Duncan, just because he was a bad boy, but they subtly hinted at him being like having a kind heart, especially when DJ's bunny got eaten, and he went and found him another bunny, so DJ wouldn't be sad anymore, which was really nice. But then they kind of like again jumping the ship here in All Stars, they really like went overboard with the Duncan being a nice person. It's like we get it. But
I
those are
was
probably
like,
my top three.
I was really thinking about this question, and I thought of it as like not overall, like just for that one season. And knowing what I know about like for me, DJ is one of my favorites in Total Drama Island because I know what his downfall is like in the other seasons.
Mm.
Island was his best season, and it's not even close. Like people who say action are ludicrous. Like I get the storyline with him and Chef, but like that was not the best version of DJ. The best version of DJ was him trying to help Jeff out when he was flirting with Bridget, and um the bromance that he had with Jeff and Duncan, and I loved his soft spot for Bridget, like
Mm-hmm.
especially like I loved his and Bridget's friendship. So DJ is definitely one of them. I'm with you on Gwen. Gwen, I think just I remember being younger and like my classmate Dimitri, I was in a class of 16 at a small Catholic school, and he went around and was like, all right, if we were on Total Drama, you would be this person, you would be this person. And he pointed at me and he was like, you would be Gwen. And I was like, okay, I'll take it. She's great. I loved her. Um, Gwen, oh my gosh, I loved Gwen in season one. That was by far her best season. I think she's one of, in my opinion, the few characters that had some redemption in All Stars.
Mm-hmm.
But like season one, Gwen is just elite, and she like I didn't realize how good like her and Lashana did at challenges. Like, yeah, Heather won some invincibility in some sketchy ways, but like Lashana absolutely killed it in
Mm-hmm.
challenges, and so did Gwen. Like Gwen won the animal thing. She won the Hook, Line, and Screamer episode. Like she won the episode where they have to stay awake. And she beat out Duncan, who took a snooze on the can. um, but Gwen season one is just like immaculate, and I would say Heather. Heather is by far like for me, she's the best villain in total drama history. Like she is so cunning and like she just is so lethal in how she plays the game. Um And I would say her for my favorite character in season 1, but I liked her better in season 3. So because
Mm-hmm.
of that, I'm going to say Bridget.
Mm-hmm.
I loved Bridget in season 1. Season 2 doesn't really count because her and Jeff just made out the whole time. Although I did love her and Jeff like hosting the aftermath. Um, and then season 3, Bridget was just forgettable until the aftermath. The aftermath was where like she really shined. Um, but season 1, Bridget, like I just remember being so drawn to her as a character because she was so easygoing. She got along with everybody. I adored her friendship with Courtney. And then just like the casual way they built up her and Jeff's relationship just made me so happy.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely, and like we got a lot of Bridget screen time. And I always really enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
So those I would say are my top 3 characters. I know it's easy to just say like Ezekiel, Eva, and like, but and those are totally fair. But who are the 3 worst characters from Total Drama Island?
Can we count Katie and Sadie as one?
They what somebody when they vote in like the season finale or something, they say Katie, or in the Play a Day Losers one, they're like Katie and Sadie, since you share a brain. So yes, you can count them as one.
Okay. They were so useless. Katie was a little less useless in the dodgeball episode, but like they added nothing. They were just pointless. Like I know they were throwaway characters, but like they weren't even funny throwaway characters. That's the thing. Like Ezekiel's a funny throwaway character. Which is why I don't hate him, but like he's not my favorite or anything. I'm trying to think of who else I didn't like in this season. I feel like Justin I didn't like because he didn't do anything.
He
Like
literally spoke in one episode.
he was a pretty boy and then he painted fake eyes in the sleeping challenge. Which is
I
kind
was
of funny.
gonna say
That was his one good scene.
yeah, I was gonna say that's like the best Justin moment of all time.
Oh no, there is one more in the in between episode when I think it was Cody was like, oh no, it might have been Tyler. It was one of those two. He was just like, give us that case, and Justin goes, no, and they just stand there like, well, now what do we do? They didn't even fight. That was my favorite Justin moment. Was him just like, no.
Fair.
Yeah, but Justin in season 1 was just there. He existed for 4 episodes and then went away and did absolutely nothing. I'm trying to think of the third one. Probably Eva, just because she existed for 2 episodes and then got brought back. And in that same episode she was brought back in, she got voted off. I'm like, that's so pointless. Like, why bring her back if you're just gonna kick her off the very same episode?
They literally brought her back and she was mean to Bridget.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Wow,
was it.
what character development.
Yeah. Like, well, how we made it. Well, what a great audience.
Well, what a great audience. Like, yeah, Eva was just a nothing burger. They did a better Eva in Revenge of the Island than was Joe. Joe was so much better. It was just basically Eva, but with a personality.
I love Joe. Yeah, Eva's definitely like number 1 on my list because like literally the whole thing they brought her back to be mean to Bridget and that was it. Like I did love like when they were doing the eliminations in the confessionals and she's like right up against the camera and she's like, I vote for Heather. Like that was pretty funny.
If anybody votes for me,
they'll be out of here in a body bag. I loved him in World Tour, and I loved him in Redonkulous Race. But Noah's on this list for me because
I knew you were gonna say that.
he's just annoying in the episodes that he's in. The scene where he kisses Cody's ear is hilarious. And he's honestly like Noah's pretty funny in the Play a Day Losers episode.
Mhm.
I always think of that line when Izzy goes, just throwing a few shrimps on the Barbie. Noah, that means you. Cracks me up every time. And Noah's just like,
I do like the one Noah line in that episode when he's talking to Lindsay. He's like, "Ooh, wee, congratulations! It's all downhill from here."
he's like, "Ooh, you just peaked. Congrats." he's funnier in that episode and in the in between episode, like, and then of course like he gets more in Total Drama World Tour, and Redonkulous Race was where like Noah just blossomed. But like in season 1, like I remember when I was younger, I hated him. Absolutely with a passion. I hated him. And I was like, oh, when he comes back in season 3, like, what are they going to do with him? Like, is he just going to be snarky the whole time? But then he was like snarky in a funny way because he was like paired up with Owen. So Eva, Noah, and yeah, this one's tough. I think I just got to go with you and say Katie and Sadie too. Like they just like Ezekiel had his funny moments, and like I count the audition tapes as part of it too. I was thinking about saying Cody for a while, but like I like kind of like the fake swagger, and the episode where he pulls the bread from his pants. I was gonna have the romantic picnic with bread from your pants. That line gets me every time. But Katie and Sadie, yeah, they literally did nothing. And like Katie, all she did was get somebody out in dodgeball, and that was it. Like, and like their fight wasn't even funny. Like, I didn't even think their fight was funny.
I do want to bring this up because I know people are going to be upset if we don't talk about it, and that's Gwen and Trent's relationship.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I want to rank the couples with you. So, like, the original first season Total Drama couples, here's canon, of course. Jeff and Bridget, Gwen and Trent, Duncan and Courtney, Owen and Izzy,
Lindsay and Tyler.
How did I forget Lindsay and Tyler? They're my favorite. Holy crap.
Well, we know you're ranking.
They're my favorite. How would you rank those 5 based on, like, you know, obviously, like, some got more airtime than others.
I think that was 6. I think that was 6 couples.
I can't count. You know that.
It's okay. That's that Pittsburgh like, education.
That old Catholic school education. But like obviously, like Tyler and Lindsay did not get as much screen time as like Duncan and Courtney, obviously. But like, how would you just from season 1? From season 1, like I'm not talking about Liler from World Tour, like season 1. How would you rank them?
This is gonna be controversial, but the bottom of the list for me is Owen and Izzy. For me, they don't make sense. They don't click for me. Like, I don't know why Owen's obsessed with her. And, like, clearly Izzy, I feel like Izzy's not even romantically interested in him. I know they make out in that one episode, but, like, I feel like she does it for fun instead of, like, actually meaning it. Because that's just who Izzy is.
I think a lot of context to that too is in season 2 when she like really gets into Total Drama action, and like I've seen a bunch of headcanons that Izzy is a child actress, and like I think because they were doing based on a summer horror flick, she was in character. Like I genuinely I agree with you honestly, but continue your rankings because I want to know where you put my beloved Liler.
Actually next on my list at number 5, just because they didn't get enough screen time in Island. Like, I don't hate them. I think they're cute. Lindsay always forgetting his name later in the show is really funny. But I just feel like they didn't do a whole lot with them in Island especially. like they get more screen time in World Tour. And then she keeps bringing up Tyler in action, but can't remember his name. So they're next, just because they didn't have enough time on screen. But again, they're fine. I don't dislike them. Okay, who was the other ones? We have Gwen and Trent, Jeff and Bridget, Duncan and Courtney. There was another one.
Are we counting Lashana and Harold?
Are we?
I've always back and forth on that. They're not technically a couple. Like Lashana has told him that multiple times. I think there's only 5.
Maybe I can't count. I swear you had another one.
I have Liler, Gidget, Gwen, Dunkney, and then
okay.
Maybe I can't count. I don't know what their ship name is. Owen and Izzy.
So no, we're not counting Lashana and Harold. Number 3, probably Jeff and Bridget, just because, again, I don't hate them, but like I didn't really connect with them, personally, because Jeff's like a cool dude, like SoCal surfer guy, and then Bridget just kind of seems really boring to me. I know I'm gonna upset Bridget fans. Listen, you're gonna roast me on All-Star, so I get this jabbing right now. But like they're fine, they're cute. I do appreciate DJ helping Jeff with her because clearly he doesn't know how to be. You look like
my friend Evan's really hot mom.
And Bridget trying to get him to admit to him writing a haiku when he doesn't even know what a haiku is.
Hey, Bridge,
that was
you want to see that cat?
That's so funny. But then I do like the ending where Bridget gets voted off. Jeff's like, I would never vote for you, babe. Like, and then he was forced to sleep outside, hanging upside down. But it was sweet that he wouldn't vote her off, even though he agreed to, for the Guys Alliance. Number 2 might be controversial, but I would rank Gwen and Trent second. Just because they were cute, especially like towards the beginning when they were getting to know each other. And then that Gwen's diary thing, like, really upset her, and I felt so bad. But then she put fire ants in Heather's bed, and I was like, yeah, that's valid. She deserved that. And then I want to talk about this really quick. That Heather's plan to get Trent to kiss her was really stupid, and I can't believe Trent fell for that. So they get minus points there because Trent knew she was a bad person. I can't believe he was like all on like, oh, you just need to get to know Gwen. She's a good person. Like, you know she's manipulative. Like, it was really dumb. Trent was dumb, and he left her buried alive too. So that was another point of contention. So I do like them. We'll get to action because I don't want to talk about that right now. For me, season 1, Duncan and Courtney was probably number 1. Just because I really like the opposites attract kind of relationship. Because you have Duncan bad boy and then type A Courtney. And like her getting concerned of him stealing a mug was really fun. I'm like, who's gonna care that he steals a mug? I thought they worked really well because Duncan let Courtney like let her hair down for the most part, which was really fun to see, even though it was for a very short time. I think they just like worked in season 1. Again, we'll get to feature seasons because there are times they did not work at all.
I'm pretty much in agreement with you with most of them.
Mhm.
Owen and Izzy are definitely at the bottom for me. Like one of my favorite songs in Total Drama World Tour is the like Owen song where he sings about Izzy. But like everyone around them, like first off, nobody really acknowledges their relationship. The only person who does is Noah, and he just tells them to break up. Like their
Mhm.
relationship is just awkward in so
Mhm.
many ways. I think they have cute moments. Like
Mhm.
I think it's cute, but it's like I just don't get it. Um, I think I'm gonna put. I think I am gonna put Lilar down in fourth just because like I don't know. Like I think their moments are like I love whenever like she stands up to, you know, Heather and like Tyler stands up to her too and is like, you know, just chill out. Like me and Lindsay are just talking. Um and they're both terrible at dodgeball. Tyler hits her with the dodgeball and Courtney's like, finally. um but like they have their cute moments and everything. I just yeah, I don't know. Like even in Play a Day Losers, when she's like, "Who's Tyler?" immediately right after she kisses him, like that bothers me so much. I think it like it has its charm for like the first couple episodes of World Tour when she like um you know when she forgets his name, but then I'm like, okay, like I'm over it. Just please remember who Tyler is. Um, I would say honestly, next I would put Gwent because yes, I love the build up between Trent and Gwen, but the Heather thing was really like I get it for the story, but it was really stupid. Um and I don't know, it just like always made me mad when like Trent got so aggressive with when Trent got super aggressive with Cody when like for the up the creek challenge whenever he's like I could seriously rearrange your face and like Cody is just like so chill. He's like, dude, why would I lie to you? um
Right.
but like it's hard to like look at these couples and think like, oh, what happened like try to, you know, rank them based off of one season. Um but like I love it. But like a lot of it too goes back to like Gwen just being mad at Trent for like no reason. Like it's like they like yeah, he kissed Heather and then in that same episode they move past it. And then it's like something happens and they get past it in that same episode and then it's like brought up again. Like they brought up the him burying her alive thing like 10 episodes later and I was like where is this
Mhm.
coming from?
Mhm.
Um I'm gonna put Gidget in second place because I just adore Jeff and Bridget in season one. I love the build up. I love the awkwardness of how like Jeff is super cocky. He's the party guy. Like he has just this casual cockiness, but like Bridget's just like a tough challenge for him because he just keeps like stepping on his own words and like making an idiot of himself. I love the addition of you know DJ as kind of like a mediator. Um, and like their ending is just like so wholesome. Like I love it. Even though they don't kiss because of the skunk smell, it is very wholesome and like I just love Jeff's loyalty of like I'm not gonna vote for you no matter what the guys say. And then yeah, I'm totally with you. Dunkney is number one. Dunkney in season one was the best buildup of honestly, like, yeah, I love Alejandro and Heather. And like with Mike and Zoe, like it's a very cute relationship, but there was no buildup. And that's also because there were only 13 episodes. Like I get that. I'm sympathetic to that fact.
You leave
Um
Mike and Zoe alone.
I said nice things.
I know.
I'm saying a nice thing. But like I just like was so good. And like, you know, you always knew like, okay, there's something that's going to happen between Duncan and Courtney, but just the buildup of like she calls him an ogre in the one episode, and he's like, like I've been called worse. Um, but there's like their buildup is just so good. I love when she starts to like let her hair down with the cooking episode and um you know, they're going back and forth and stuff, and then they end up, you know, working together on the dessert. And then the basic training episode, like, yeah, she's super uptight and everything, but like she still is like, well, I'm gonna go check on him. And their kiss is just so good. Oh
I
my
have
gosh.
a minor gripe about their kiss, it was immediately preceding her throwing up.
Oh yeah, I know.
Little
So-
gross.
So gross. But the way it happened is so cute when they're like, enjoy a peanut butterless life without me. And she's like, I will enjoy prison. Oh, so cute. But yes, I totally agree with you. It is so gross. But yeah, I think like they did a really good job with the couples. I'm glad they didn't make like everybody a couple. That there were just like the couples that they did decide on and they did create, like they made sense. Um it's kind of unfair to ask like who the worst pairing is because like we are just focusing on one season, so I'm gonna skip that. But give me like your top 3 overall moments from Total Drama Island.
That's a good question. That's asking me to remember 22 episodes. I'm trying to think of, because there's a lot. Gosh, you're putting me on the spot. Obviously, Lindsay's blow up with Heather was really good. Because that's just iconic. Her just cussing her out, and Heather's just standing there like, okay. Like she didn't even like, she wasn't even phased. I'm trying to go through all the episodes in my head. I know it's an early season, but I love the dodgeball challenge for some reason, just because you had a lot of characters still in the game. And just Duncan sleeping, and then they're afraid to wake him up. But then he ends up winning. It's so funny. The entirety of the in-between episode is really good when they're leading into action. Just Courtney in a hot air balloon with the 4 guys dangling from it's really funny to me. I like Heather getting her head stuck in a beaver dam, and Lashana, Trent, and Gwen are like, should we help her? And then they just start laughing and walk away. I'm like, yeah, she deserved that. And again, the Justin line always gets me. No. Well, what do we do now? They didn't even try to take the case.
I think some of my favorite moments, like number 1 is when Heather gets locked in the fridge. Oh my gosh, like that is the best moment in TV history, in my opinion. I would say when the RCMP comes after Izzy, because I just love the line with Lashana where Lashana's like, all that trash you were talking was true. And Izzy's like, no, just the RCMP part. She runs off. Oh my gosh. And then honestly, like as much as I love Dunkney, I love the plot twist of Harold being the one getting Courtney voted off. I just thought that was like super clever and super well done. So we talked about a lot about Total Drama Island.
Yeah.
But let's talk about grading it. So we have like 4 grades. So we're doing based on like the funniness, the characters, the challenges, and the writing. And then of course the overall grade. What is your report card for Total Drama Island?
For funny scale, I would give it like a solid B-, because it did have some really funny gags and one-liners. I think the only thing that brought it down for me is the gross out humor, because I hate gross out humor. That's like the worst thing. There were too many fart jokes and vomit jokes and like bathroom jokes like that. I hate that type of humor because it's so lowbrow. But I think that's what brought it down for me. I do appreciate in like the later seasons, there's still like toilet humor, but there's a lot less of it. So that's why Total Drama gets that grade. I think they have the most. Character grade, like A, definitely, because they just give you so many characters with so many different personalities. Like it's very hard to choose your favorite. because there's just so much variety. So they definitely get an A for that. What was it? Challenge grade. I give it a B. Like there were some challenges that were really fun, but then there were some basic challenges that didn't really warrant like any kind of special treatment. I don't know how to say it, but there were just some challenges that just like them camping out in the woods for a night. Like that was boring because they ended up doing that like twice or 3 times. But there were some really good ones like the staying awake challenge, the cooking challenge, the what was the one challenge? The phobia factor challenge, talent show. Like those were all really good. But then there was just some that were kind of lame. So they get a B. Writing grade, I give it between like an A minus and a B plus because I think they were finding their footing when writing for these characters. Because again, there were a couple good one-liners. I love one-liner humor, like snarky humor. That's my favorite. So like I get why Noah became popular in World Tour Redonkulous Race because he had those one-liners that were they just hit. But definitely writing some of like their main characters like Gwen, Heather, Owen. I think they did a really solid job, but like you can only have so many main characters in a cast of 22 plus Chris plus Chef. So I've like their throwaway characters didn't get any development, so I'm giving them like a B plus plus, I guess. So overall grade, I would give an A minus for Total Drama Island.
You and I are pretty much like right on it. Like I say the funny grade is probably like a B plus. Like you said, there's a little bit too much gross out humor. I don't mind like the brunch of disgust. I love the eating challenges. Those are some of my favorite challenges. But like I'm even as a kid like fart jokes like come on like I just don't care.
I'm just like I think there's so many people in Canada that have a fart fetish, and I'm very concerned for them.
I just like I don't mind it every once in a while. It's just like I feel like there could be so much more to Owen than fart jokes. Like he's a funny character. Like him basically sharding his pants every episode is not the move for me. The character grade, honestly, everything you said plus another thing, I'm gonna give this an A plus because one thing I have always deeply, deeply appreciated about Total Drama Island, and of course, you have to give a shout out to your creators here, Tom McGillis, Jennifer Perch. Shout out to them for just making this crazy, ridiculous show that we all just love so much. And a shout out again to all the voice actors. Like they are just so good. But I've deeply appreciated how diverse the cast is. You've got white people, you've got Asian people, you've got African American people, you've got Hispanic people. Like I know Courtney is canon as being Hispanic, so a lot of people think Alejandro is the first Hispanic contestant. Well, it's actually Courtney. Just so many different characters, so many different personalities. You know exactly who everybody is when they get off the boat. I just love it. I've always deeply, deeply, deeply appreciated the characters of Total Drama. And that honestly, that goes for every single season. Every season has had just the diversity factor, the uniqueness factor. Even Pockatail Island, like introducing twins to the mix was really cool. Every season had its diverse characters and I loved it. The challenge grade, I would probably give this I'd probably give it an A minus. Like, yeah, I agree with you. Like there are definitely like basic challenges, but like I kind of like for the first season, just looking at that, the basic challenges because it's setting it's setting the stage. Things start to get a little bit crazier, and then of course it like goes all the way up here. Yeah, I totally hear you. The writing grade, yeah, I'm gonna go with a B. Um, Finding their footing, just like a couple like little inconsistencies here and there. But overall, pretty solid. Overall grade, I would give it an A minus as well. The characters just really, really like carry the show. And one thing, like giving another shout out to these voice actors, like I look at somebody like um oh, what's her name? Stephanie Ann Mills. She plays Katie and she plays Lindsay. They still have their own like separate voices. Like I can tell Katie and Lindsay apart. Clay Bennett, he voices DJ, he voices Chef. Scott McCord voices Owen and he voices Trent. Like very, very easy to tell him apart. I'm pretty sure like going into some of the other seasons, the guy who plays Cody voices he voices Tyler, he voices Ezekiel. I don't know if he voices Mike, but I feel like he voices Mike. I'm not sure about that. I would have to go back and double check that.
I don't know his name, but I think you told me Harold also voiced Sam in Revenge
Yeah.
of the Island. Yeah. How do you get
Yeah,
two ginger characters? Is he ginger?
okay, so Mike's voice actor is not the same.
Okay.
I gotta look that up, who his voice actor is, because I know I'm getting him mixed up with somebody. Let's see. Who is your voice actor? Why is it so hard to find his voice actor? Yeah, so I think like just the voice actors, there's so many like, and like as somebody who watches shows like outside of total drama but within that universe, stoked 16. Like I remember just loving like Gwen's voice actor being her voice actor, and also Jen Masterson on 16, like just little things like that. So yeah, just big props to the voice actors for sure. To kind of close, we're rounding out our show now here in our third segment. If you could change a couple things in Total Drama, what would they be and why? Total Drama Island.
Definitely give Owen more of a personality other than wanting to eat and then farting. Like that's number one. Because like that was most of his character throughout Island. And it didn't really stray in like later seasons, but like those were the same two jokes they made with him. So that was probably my number one. Number two, this might be controversial, but maybe 22 characters was too many. I think you can get rid of 6 comfortably and still have like a banger show. um what's number 3? I had a third one and I can't remember. I'll let you talk because I can't think of it right now, but I'll let you go. But those are like the main 2 I have.
My biggest thing is just like eliminations that don't make sense. Like Lindsay's elimination didn't make any sense. Cody, in my opinion, his elimination didn't make any sense. Like I hate that scene where Owen goes, "Yeah, that Cody not so useful in challenges anymore." Like, dude, literally the next episode you eat the entire 3-course meal. Like, what do you mean he's not useful in challenges? Like I understand like the idea of Owen winning and everything, but like I just personally hated it. But like those like eliminations, they should have been more clear. Like if you're gonna do it, just make it more clear in my opinion. And then yeah, Lashana being eliminated was just ridiculous.
That was I bet everyone was upset with that. Nobody liked that.
I don't care for even Izzy being brought back. Like I think there's that scene where Lashana like Gwen is arguing with the loudspeaker and Lashana goes, "Girl, you're arguing with like a megaphone. It just doesn't look right." Um but like Gwen has a point. Like I would have been upset too. Like if I was in that situation, like you literally said, like these two can't come back, and like Eva is definitely threatening because like she is so strong and like powerful and stuff. It's like, oh God, like she can actually like go all the way. Oh, too bad everyone hates her and she gets eliminated. But before we like the show, our final words on Total Drama Island. Do you have any final words on the very first season of this show that I have made you love?
Yeah, you definitely made me like love it. I definitely liked it beforehand, but you definitely like showed me the way in quote unquote terms. Final closing thoughts. Definitely a start to something good, not great. And some things were good, some things were great, but there was always a balancing act in later seasons. But definitely like very original, like just making a parody of a like a contest. What's the term I'm looking for? Like a reality show, like making a parody of it. I don't think anybody's done that before Total Drama, and it was just so unique. And coming off of watching Survivor when I was younger, like I think that's why I got into it. I was like, oh, it's like Survivor but with teenagers, and I just didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did because like I was already familiar with Survivor. I was like, oh, this is gonna be interesting, and then it just went super wacky. But I still appreciated it for what it was initially in Island. Um, we'll definitely get to the other seasons, but for what Island is, I definitely appreciate what they did with it.
Yeah, it was definitely the start of something great, and I just remember like being younger and like watching it for the first time with my brother and thinking like my brother and I used to make charts of like who would get eliminated next. I mean, we just loved it like the show. It always had you on your heels. It was so much fun, and I just like even like as an adult and watching like the redonkulous race and stuff, I was just on the edge of my seat every time, and I loved it. It was so much fun, and I like these are just such fun characters, and it's fun to see what people do outside of the show to kind of build off those characters. And yeah, it's just such a good show. I love it. I love it so much. Um, but that's our first episode, folks. Like that is the first episode of Toon Tahn. And this we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff. If you want to give Kelley and I homework down the road, and you have a show that you want to tell us about, like your favorite show, we will. Kelley and I will watch anything once. So we would love to hear some of your favorite shows too. Spread the word about our podcast. We are on Podbean. We're on Apple Podcasts. We are on Spotify. In the next couple of days, we're going to be looking to record once a week. We both have very different full-time jobs. Kelley's a more 9 to 5, and I am not. so we try our best, and I coach like 8 different sports. So, it's just one of those things. But we're going to try our best to do an episode once a week. We're not just going to do 50 straight episodes of Total Drama. We're going to jump around to a bunch of other different shows that we love. But it's going to be fun, and we just hope you enjoy it. So our final segment is called Final Thoughts, and that again is that word in Pittsburghese that just means like everything. This is where we, plug our socials and do all of our fun stuff. So Kelley, and if we ever get sponsors, this is where we read them. So Kelley, you get to go first.
Someone please sponsor us. So I want to give one last shout out to Butopia on Tumblr. She did a great job with our avatars. Her commissions, as far as I know, are open. So if you want to reach out to her and get her artwork done for you, please do so because she did great work. I am Miraculous Arts on Tumblr. It's miraculous-arts if you want to look me up. I just post memes. I hope you like funny things.
What a great plug. I love it. Yeah, again, shout out to Butopia on Tumblr. Amazing, amazing work. We love our avatars. Like, it's So good. I always dreamed of having myself as a total drama character, and now it's come true. I don't usually wear dresses, but I sent her a picture of me at a wedding, so I mean, it looks cute, so I love it. It's like I even told Kelley, I was like, I'm okay with wearing a dress because she made it look cute. Um, if you like
Yeah.
sports at all, people, you can follow me on Twitter for all of my Mexican soccer hot takes at Rachael Kriger, which is now X. I don't care. I'm still calling it Twitter. This is not the only podcast I do. I do a soccer podcast. I've been doing podcasts now for about 4 years. So if you love soccer at all, check out Last Word Soccer Club Radio. We are on Apple Podcasts, and we are on Podbean as well. And then of course I share my Tumblr username. I am the soccer enthusiast on Tumblr. So thank you all for listening. We hope you enjoyed the first show. Again, spread the word, spread the wealth. But that is the end of our show, and we will see y'all next time in your next visit to Toon Tahn.